Yeah, Cyrus says on a Tuesday morning if you're watching it live. Otherwise, it could be Thursday afternoon if you're in Tokyo watching the Olympics at the same time, which is advisable. We've got a very interesting man coming on. He's a superb athlete. He's the pride of not just the Parsi community, but also whole of India. One of the most modern sports of all, racing car. But we'll come to him in a second. Jehan Daruvala is hanging there for a second because I want to talk and segue into cars only. I've noticed one thing in Mumbai, especially, which is we have two types of drivers. Ones who keep blowing the horn and trying to overtake you, and they just rush because they're rushing for whatever reason, and mostly to get out of Mumbai, obviously to a better place where they can be free. And the second is the type, and mostly males, who overtake you, honk, 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 finally overtake you, and then slow down. So the whole point is just to overtake you. It's like a personal thing. And I'm not able to understand why no action is taken against these nutcases with big egos who have this huge angst to overtake one car and then they drive slowly after that. I keep passing them. I always have the same conversation. Problem क्या है? इतना जल्दी गाड़ी चलाए और उसके बाद कुछ नहीं. And they don't have an answer to why this anger stopped after just overtaking you. And on an empty road, they go nowhere after that, which is a metaphor for their lives, I tell you. Let's bring in Jehan Daruvala. He's only 22 years old, and he's not even shaved in his life. This is what he looks like. He's a young man with he's won lots of laurels and glory for the country. You're a Padma Bhushan and a Padma Vibhushan at the same time, which is a rare feat, Jehan. Please don't deny it,
Hi.
because the only way in India, if
Uh,
you want to get something, you have to say yes. Otherwise, it doesn't happen. So welcome to the show, Jehan. Lots of you're going to have to help us through this entire Formula One, Formula Two, Formula Three formula and explain the whole thing
yeah,
to us. Right now, you're at the cusp of something really big. Your next race in Formula Two will be watched on Eurosport channel, which is coming up soon, right?
yeah,
So
exactly.
not hit by the pandemic. The competitions continue. We keep reading Formula One also managing to in a way it's good because you guys are covered up completely.
Yeah, exactly. We've been actually super lucky to be able to race firstly in the first place, and also lucky for me that it's been broadcasted live for the first time in India on Eurosport. So a lot of people who weren't be able to watch it before are now able to watch it. So a lot of my fans, family, friends, everyone is now being able to watch it live on Eurosport in India.
So two questions come to mind immediately, Jihan. One is, how do you afford to do this sport when petrol has gone to 109 rupees a litre? I mean, it's just ridiculous. I mean, you get people to push you from the bay when you start and all that because you want to save some money. I've been in neutral all day. I got up in the morning to go to the gym. I drove as much as I could in neutral. I do this in old Parsi tradition just to save money. And the second thing I'm dying to ask you, and please answer this. I know you guys wear helmets and all kinds of padding, but do you wear an abdomen guard?
Actually, no, we have to go. We can't not even allowed to wear boxers because they have to be fireproof. So you only wear like a layer of fireproof clothing and then your overalls. So yeah, your
Let me
boxers are
understand.
all.
So fireproof, 100% guarantee, so you won't get burnt in that area. But if you bang into something, you may lose a ball.
It's fire resistant. So it's even not fully fireproof. It only gives you like 15 to 20 seconds more.
Why would you even bother? It's hazardous sport. All right, let's go right to the beginning. Start from the beginning. You're only 22. You've achieved so much. Of course, there's a lot of pressure on you now because you're seen as this bright new talent in the last few years. You've broken all kinds of records, made a lot of name for yourself. Keep reading about you in the papers. In fact, we are one of those names that has been there so long that I was really stunned that you're only 22. I presume to be about 27, 28 by now because I've been reading about you for so many years. So, obviously you started young. So the first question is, how did Jehan there's also a little Parsi stereotype here because many people who grew up with Parsis around them know that they're crazy about cars and bikes, and obsessive
Yeah.
gene is there. So that possibly is part of your story. So let you tell us, how did it begin?
So honestly, when I was 7 to 8 years old in Bombay, I used to just watch Formula One on TV. I was a bit of a crazy fanatic of watching races and stuff, but there wasn't much scope of, at least I thought of racing in India. So it was just like a dream for me, which never really went ahead. And actually, one day my father travels a lot for work, so he was traveling around in a seat pocket in front of him. He saw an advertisement that Rayaman Banerjee, a fellow Parsi, was you know, holding and organizing a camp in Powai for young karters. So it was actually on a weekend, and I had an exam on a Monday. So I had to kind of convince my mom that I need to go here and show my skills or whatever I can do. So I actually drove from the other day Powai with my dad. We went Saturday and Sunday, And that's
But
how it was my first real time competing.
how old were you?
I was like 9 years old at that time.
But you knew how to drive.
I mean, a go kart,
Oh,
yeah, because it's legal to drive go karts, after
just
4 by2
remind me
years.
about the go-kart. I have driven one when I was very young, but I can't remember. It's basically like a you sit, there's an accelerator, but right? I mean,
Accelerator and a
you're
brake, yeah.
accelerating and braking. So
Yeah.
it's fundamentally a car. It's not like a thing with your leg or something. You're actually using an accelerator and you're braking and you're using a steering wheel.
Yeah,
So
yeah.
technically,
It's like an
yeah. So it was
automatic
an illegal.
a small
I just
automatic
want to.
car.
I want to report the Daruvalas to the government. I'm just doing the right thing. You know, a 9-year-old boy running around from Dadar to bloody Powai, which is, in those days there was no connecting road from anywhere. Powai was like another island.
Mm.
So you
No,
went
no.
there, got a taste.
I used to
Go
go
on,
to
go on.
Powai with my dad. I used to drive on a track in Powai. I didn't take the go kart to Powai.
You did mention that your dad traveled a lot. Now the other one who travels a lot in our culture is our prime minister. So by simple mathematics, does that mean that the prime minister is? No, I'm just don't even answer that question. So your first taste at that point, I suppose the parents were just the guy the kid likes to I mean they were just they weren't taking it seriously. I'm sure it was more like fun for you, right? Nobody thought you'd make a
Yeah,
career out of it, make a name for yourself.
yeah. I mean, I definitely thought that at a young age, but my parents definitely didn't think so. They thought, I think, he'll enjoy this for 1 or 2 years. See that he's not really good enough, and then just kind of stop. And yeah, so it didn't quite work out in that manner. I've enjoyed every bit of it till now, and here we are now.
But Jan, the one question I don't know when you think back playing sports of any kind, footy, cricket, rugby, anything, there's some sports which you just take to, right? You sort of most guys say, "Oh, this is a sport I'm good at," or I feel a connection with it and all that. What when you get into a go kart and you're 9 or 10 years old, did you ever feel that this is my thing? Did you get that feeling immediately, or is it something that by doing you slowly got better at it? How does that work?
No, definitely it was something that you get better that you're doing. But I enjoyed it from day one. But I'm a very, very competitive person. So when I'm not doing as well as I want to, I kind of don't enjoy. Even though, people say you drive fast cars, how can you not enjoy? If I'm not delivering results and not doing well, the slight enjoyment does go away. So when I was younger, I didn't really think about all that. There was no such thing as pressure or performing well. It was just going out, doing what I love, and driving a go kart. So at that stage, it was just all about love and enjoyment of the sport.
So you're going for fun, you're having a great time, you're looking forward obviously to Saturday to go to do your go-karting, etc. When does it become a
Yeah,
competition in a professional sense? Understand that you're competitive and all, obviously you have to be to achieve what you've done. But when do you suddenly find yourself in a professional sort of league?
yeah. So like I said, that was at 9, and then when I was 10 already, I started racing for Rayo Banerjee's national team in India. I did a couple of years in India, so that's when it started to become serious. I did 1 year in Asia. I won the national championship. I won the Asian championship as well. And then after that, I got picked as one of the three winners for the Force India 1 in a Billion hunt. And that's when it all really got serious. Was I think it was 2012. I was 12 or 13 years old, and I decided myself that I'll be racing a lot in Europe, so I'll move and shift to England to a boarding school and go there and live my life. So that's kind of when it all became really serious.
So you shifted.
Yeah, I shifted.
Why was
So I
let's go
didn't.
back to Force India. Was that Vijay Malia's thing?
Yeah, yeah. It was just a 1 billion hunt program to find the next Indian for Formula One.
Wow. So you're basically like his son. In a sense, because he sort of discovered you with that Force India hunt thing and all that. Then you followed him to England, where you set up school, etc. So, what were your parents
Yeah,
thinking? Because suddenly this becomes like a very serious thing. What was a fun weekend with Mr. Banerjee and sons suddenly turns out to be, firstly, cost to company went up. Secondly, you're going to leave
yeah.
the family. I mean, how do they handle all that? Because it's no longer just a hobby.
No, to be honest, I've been very lucky with my parents. They've been very supportive. My parents, family, everyone has been super supportive of what I wanted to do so far. So from that side, it's just been as long as I'm happy to go to England. and stay away from family and friends and pursue my career, then they were happy. So in that sense, I was really privileged and had the opportunity to go abroad and pursue something I really loved.
So when you reach England, how old are you?
Uh, Around 13, yeah, around that age.
Wow. So, I mean, that's really young, honestly. You're suddenly away from that happy family life, everything's taken care of. You're on your own, and but that probably your single-minded focus was very clear by then. So you were only thinking about racing after that. It didn't bother you where you were, what happened to you around you.
Yeah, racing and passing my exams in school. Pretty much those were the two things that
Damn
went
it!
through my mind.
Yeah, that damn exam thing would continue to haunt everyone. So take us for 2 minutes through what life was like in England. I mean, there must have been a little bit of adjustment for you suddenly, going from home to a boarding school, not having the family and friends around for some time.
Yeah, it was definitely difficult. Firstly, because I joined the school's year starts in September, but I joined a little bit later in January itself. And then even after I came to school, I used to be I probably only had 20% attendance the whole year because the amount I was karting. So I was not seeing too many people all the time. When I had to come back to school, I was catching up on schoolwork, and then I had not too much time off. I love playing other sports, so it was really hectic. I had like 100 days where I was away from school in a over 100 days in a year. I was away from school, so there was a
But
lot
how
of
do they
catching up to
allow
do.
it?
And yeah, so it
It
was
was
one of
that
the
kind of.
few schools that yeah, it was like a sports school that allowed you to have. I went to look around many schools in England, and this was one of the schools that were open to me having the time off. But when I did come back, they made sure that I was catching up on the work and finishing my exams and stuff like that. So it
So
was
basically, you
difficult to
give up
find
all.
a good school.
It's difficult to find a
Sorry.
good school anyway. Don't worry, it's difficult to find a good school here also. But no, I'm saying no social life then. So you spend 100 days trying to go kart and compete and practice and train and all that, and then you come back and you have to catch up on studies, and obviously you've missed out on stuff. So you've got that to
Yeah.
do. So you went. So your time just went.
Yeah, I went. Yeah, not a lot of social life say when I was in England, except for my friends at school. I was in a boarding school, so we would spend time together on the weekend and stuff. But apart from that, I used to only when I used to come to India, I used to take some, like say, time off and chill with my friends and stuff.
But did you tell your friends in England, the English ethnic English ones, what Daruvala means and stands for, and that you've got that pressure of a name which literally means alcohol person?
Yeah, but I don't live up to that name,
You don't
so
drink.
very rarely.
He doesn't drink and drive. Let's be very clear about that. Definitely not at the pace that he drives at. He drinks Red Bull. Let's just plug Red Bull. Red Bull is what he drinks, and nothing stronger than Red Bull. So you're in England. You're studying. You're doing this. What is the whole point of being in England? Is there a circuit that you follow? And please, you've got to now take us through this whole Formula 3, 2, 1. How it works? How does one proceed up the ranks?
Yeah, so it all starts from karting. I started karting in India. Like I said, I did a couple of years in Asia. And then I went to England in 2012 for my first year, probably competing in abroad. And because all most of my races in 2012 and 13 were actually in England itself. So that's why I made the call to, go there and live there. So that made it easier. And so I did 2012, 13, 14 racing in England and Europe in go-karting, and after that I moved up the ranks into Formula Renault. Nowadays, it's been 6 years since then, and it's a lot simpler. So it's Formula 4, Formula 3, Formula 2, and Formula 1 is basically how they want you to proceed into Formula 1. And currently, I'm competing in Formula 2. I did a couple of years in Formula 3 as well, where I finished third in the championship, and now I'm in my second year of Formula 2. So, hopefully, if all things go well, then I have a shout to go to Formula 1.
So we've had what the Ryan Karthikeyan actually was in Formula 1, or he was in Formula 2.
No, he was in Formula 1, and so is Karan Chandok.
Karan Chandok also. So that's
Yeah.
so currently you're in two. You will go to one. Once you go into one, you compete with the big guns like the Lewis Hamiltons and Sebastian Vettels and all the names.
Yeah, yeah, that's it.
Okay, so going. Let's go back to England. Understand again. So first Formula 4, then 3. I presume you have to win, right? How do you go up? You have to win.
No, I think you can go up even without winning, but as long as you're competitive in the previous category, then a bunch of guys move up, like five, six people who are fighting at the front of the races, fighting for the championship. They sort of move up through the ranks. As long as you're kind of winning races and proving yourself in each category, then it's the right step to move forward. Some people move forward without uh, winning races and stuff, and they just end up lagging behind the whole time and don't have that chance to move up to Formula One when they get to Formula Two.
Okay, so take us through a little bit of the how does one train for this? And I want to ask one really stupid question. Do not get upset, but like I think I can drive a car really fast. And growing up, there are people who drive cars very fast and have good reflexes, etc.
Yeah.
Has that any bearing on becoming a champion racing driver? Because I can't imagine that that's the only prerequisite that you need to be good.
No, I think it's a lot different to driving a car fast on the road. Uh, Firstly, this sport is super physical. People underestimate how physical racing actually is, especially in Formula Two. We don't have any power steering, so the weight that actually goes through the forces that goes through our arms is really heavy. And on top of that, the G forces around corners. We have to train a lot. So normally, I train 5 to 6 days a week to keep myself fit. A bunch of stuff. Normally, I'm not a big fan of cardiovascular, but it needs to be done. But I love strength training, training my neck, which is the most important fact for racing drivers. Is what we do. So I follow a pattern even when I'm in Bombay of like 3 days on, 1 day off. So I do like strength fitness, cardio fitness, and like two strength, one cardio pretty much in those 3 days on and 1 day off. I've been following this pattern for the last 2 or 3 years.
One second, Jan, this is the training that you do outside the car. You're
Yeah,
talking, so now
outside
you're like a proper physical athlete who has to train for the sport separately
itself.
and then train his body outside the sport as well. So,
Yeah,
so
yeah,
you do this just like you would if you were playing football or rugby or something.
yeah. I think the sad part about is that when you get to Formula Two, there's actually not a lot of time that you drive. I have 8 weekends in a whole year this year, and apart from that, there's 6 other days where you have testing. Apart from that, it's all banned. To cut costs down and stuff, they don't allow people to drive at all. So in terms of actually being in a car, I'm probably in a car 30 days in the whole year.
But then you can do the simple thing of just riding a rickshaw and Bandra. I mean, if you try that, because I think that is, do you think you can, tell me honestly, can you beat a rickshaw driver? Because those guys have perfected the art. I don't know how they
I
do it.
highly doubt. I can't beat a rickshaw driver in a rickshaw, but on a track, I
That's for
will
sure.
probably beat him. I hope
That's
I'll
for sure.
succeed.
So, Jihan, that's amazing. So you don't get to practice physically with the car as much as you would like to because of all these environmental issues, etc., etc.
Yeah, for cutting costs down and stuff. So we do all of our practice
So
like
it's
on a
simulated.
simulator. Yeah, it's on a simulator. We have simulators that we do most of our work
Hey,
on.
I do that with sex, bro. I do exactly the same thing with sex. Yeah. And it's the same environmental issues and all that. I'm not allowed to be with women, so I do the same thing. But don't we won't talk about that. I'm sure you why spoil your morning with those images. So the
Yeah,
simulator, but can that really work? I mean, do you actually get better with something where you're not actually racing?
I think it's obviously not the same as the real car, but it's better. Let's put it this way: it's better than not doing anything. At least you have some sort of feeling and perception of you learn tracks, you learn how you're gonna carry the speed in corners and stuff. But obviously, it's completely different, at least for me, to real life. So, but we still spend like 50, 60 days in a year on a simulator. So it's not like we spend a lot of time because probably as much time as we spend on track, we spend on a simulator in a year.
I'm glad you went with track. I thought you were going to go back to some personal conversation. But explain to us also a little bit about the team. Because every time you read about Team Ferrari or Team McLaren or whatever, there's so
Yeah.
many people involved. It's really difficult to understand the sport. Everything is just a simple guy who's racing the car and that's it. But he's almost just one out of many people who put together a machine. So what is that all with you, for example?
In obviously I'm in Formula Two. In Formula One, they have like thousands of employees, per team. So they have a lot more people. In Formula Two, it's I race for a team called Carlin. I'm obviously sponsored by Red Bull, have the livery and drive for them. But the actual team's name is Carlin, who I drive for, who are based in the UK themselves. So, I have a race engineer, three mechanics, a chief engineer, a data engineer, for like 5 or 6 guys who are really close to me, plus my driver coach and my physio and my trainer. So there's a bunch of like 7 to 8 people who we work really closely with, I would say, to get the maximum performance out of the car and out of me. So honestly,
But now,
in racing, people underestimate how influential the car and the team is. A driver can only do so much. As if you have a very good car, you can win. If the car is not good enough, because of the competition and the level that everyone is at, it's really hard to win without a good car and a good team around
I mean, you're talking about a separate coach for the car or for driving, I presume. So that now
you.
when
Yeah.
you got COVID and you're here and they may be elsewhere, so everything is going to be done on Zoom. How does it? How do you
Uh,
coordinate everything?
Honestly, when I'm away from the track in England, then yeah, we because I'm based in England, I can go to the factory and see them. But when I'm in Bombay, we chat over emails or Zoom. But because we have so much time in the year, like I only have 8 weekends. So my next race is in September. So I go back 2 weeks before or 3 weeks before the race, and they just like me to switch off when I come to Bombay because I don't really have too much time to switch off, and I quite like
They've
coming
seen
home
the
and not really thinking about too much about racing
I-
when I'm home.
no, they've heard about the traffic in Mumbai, so they're pretty clear that there's no point destroying you on stress levels and anxiety. Just stick to a good track with nobody on it. Okay, let's quickly go through your career. You are the first Indian to win an FIA F2 race. FIA is
Uh, it's like the basically the whole president of racing. It's FIA Formula 3, FIA Formula 2, FIA Formula 1. So it's like the Federation of International Automobile.
okay. So this is not a small thing because names like Karun Chandok you mentioned, Narayan Karthikeyan, there were a couple of others from a generation before. I don't know if you remember Farhad Batena and all, who are all pretty good. But you are the first one to win an F2 race from this beautiful country of ours, which charges over 30% tax for people in your income group. Uh, True, Jehan?
I'm the first Indian to win an F2 race. Yes, true.
So doesn't that mean that automatically F1 is just a stone's throw away?
No, it just doesn't work like that. Unfortunately, in racing, you have to perform well, but there has to be seats that open up at the right time. There's only obviously 22 drivers in the whole world who drive in Formula One. But like
So
I'm
it's
part
like,
of the Red Bull Junior team, so realistically, there's only 1 or 2 seats that will open. I'm competing against other Red Bull Juniors, and if both their guys are doing well in Formula One, the seat just doesn't open for you in the coming near future. So you have to hope, once the drivers aren't performing and you are performing well in Formula 2, so that seat opens up for you to go into.
who are the other juniors? Give us names, addresses. Let's see if we can. Accidents happen, those kind of things. Just let me know. All right, and please
Yeah.
tell Red Bull that India is the biggest market of all. So if they want to sell the product, they have to put you up, whatever happens. Uh, okay, don't answer my stupid questions. You finished third in 2019 FIA F3 season, which is one of the most competitive single-seater series in the world. The highest finish again for an Indian in an official FIA feeder series. So this is the entire season, not just one race where you came third, the highest ranked Indian to do so in that league. So honestly, then you're the only Indian to win races at FIA F3 championships, winning 4 races, 2 consecutive wins in Barcelona and France. The first Indian to claim pole position in FIA F3 series with a total of 11. Ladies and gentlemen, he's won 11 pole positions already. He's not just 22 years old. That's just ridiculous. And you're also the first Indian to have won a Grand Prix, the New Zealand Grand Prix at the Chris Amon circuit in Manfield in 2017 December. So it looks like the pedigree is fantastic, and you paid all the bills and you crossed the T's and dotted the I's. So realistically, again, I'm asking you the same question because we're all waiting for you to jump into that big ocean.
Yeah.
Um, I know it's an awkward thing to answer, but is it fair to say in the next year or two?
I would like to think so. Yes.
Yeah, it's not an
Yeah.
arrogant thing to say. I'm saying because you won everything in F2. You made a name for yourself. You made the splash. You're right there. As you said, they've got this. I don't explain to people. Maybe birth death situation where people have to leave for the slots to open and the next person to come in, which is
Yeah.
beyond your control. That we totally understand, but not beyond the control of the government of India. If you can do the right thing at the right time, when the lighting is less and the driver's gone for a smoke or something and he's never seen off again. It happens in China.
Yeah.
It happens in North Korea. Why can it not happen here? Don't worry, Mr. Daruvala, we have to do all this setting, otherwise nothing happens in life. Life is all about cheating. I'm very pro cheating. Ever since the UP election results came out last time, I'm saying cheating is good. That's not a political commentary. Okay, we're going to have to take a quick break and bring in Silvery. Lots of questions will be coming in. I think you'll have to deal with all your life. You're dealing with the fact that we don't know enough about Grand Prix racing. That we all like to watch the cars. Everybody likes to watch,
Yeah.
all that. But it's just the whole culture which one has to understand. It's almost like we have to take tuitions to understand the whole process that is involved and the hard work that is involved. But before we call in Silvery, let me test your Parsi ability. Uh, what is the largest number of eggs you've eaten in a day? I call
Number
it
of
the
eggs in a
Edu
day.
test. Yeah.
I don't know. Probably like 7 or 8. Not that many.
Thrashed you, 32. 32 Cyrus, 7 Jehan. Yeah, he's won everything in F2, but he loses the egg eating contest to an old man. How many times
I
do you
have to
pee in the
stay at
night?
70 kilos. For
You have to
lost
stay at
like
7.
3 or 4.
You can't
Yeah,
go up
3 or 4.
from 70?
I can't. No, no. Because then you're too heavy, overweight for the car.
Fudge. Fudge, that's horrible. So that means
Yeah.
if you, and you will have, touch wood, a long career, you got to stay at 70 till the day you stop driving.
Around 71, 72, you can get away, but your race engineer wants you to be at
you
70.
already you already started pushing the envelope. Fair enough. How many times do you pee in the night?
Oh, 3 or 4 times. Yeah, quite a lot.
At 22? Boss, this should not happen at 22. This is I asked this question because you guys wear these strange suits here, and it always feel uncomfortable. What if you want to pee? Or is the adrenaline taking over in these long
Yeah,
races? And
it takes over. Even if you need to go desperately, while driving, you don't feel it at
but
all.
Jehan, when you're in places like France, and look, I mean, there'll be places which are really cold. For example, I mean, you've raced all over the world. You've based in England. Don't you? I mean, how can you not feel like peeing, even with the adrenaline, taking over in a bit?
You just don't. Even if you want to pee before you race, as soon as you start racing, you forget about it for the next hour.
Have you ever had to just let go in the middle of the race?
Never, never, never.
Damn it.
Fingers crossed, never.
There will be days. Okay. Okay, let's quickly, before we bring in Silvery, repeat this again. His next race in Formula 2, and please everybody watch it. It's on EUROSPORT channel. He's already won a few races in Formula 2. He's already set the benchmark for going into Formula 1, but it doesn't hurt for him to keep winning. EUROSPORT channel, that is in September.
Yeah, second week of
Exactly.
September, so 10 to 12, those dates.
10 to 12 September, you keep, I'm sure we'll get enough advertising and branding around it just before it happens. Then suddenly, when an Indian is going to take part in something spectacular, the sport wakes up and everybody talks about it for 3 days. So that will happen. Jehan, 22 years old. I'm now going to let you meet someone who's closer to you in age than me. Silvery, please come in. He's a beautiful young man who can't drive a car.
I can drive well on the roads, but not on a racetrack. I'm sure.
But the cops stopped you and they gave you this thing in Marathi, and you remember how you didn't know what to do and you were upset. You wanted to translate into Hindi and you made a political
Correct.
statement that day. Yeah.
Yeah. Exactly. The cops were like, yeah, I'm saying the cops were saying, okay, do your fast driving on a racetrack, and I'm like, no, I'll do it on the roads. It's safer for me.
You Gandu, that's what you said. You said, "Apne aap ko Jehan Daruvala samajhta hai." That was the exact line. Right. Listen, he mentioned his career. Look at the karma here. Started with Powai, in a sense, because that's where they had the go-karting culture and the space and all that.
Correct. I used to do that a lot when I was younger also.
He's a Powai boy.
I used to do I say in Powai. So the go-karting thing, I used to do that a lot when I was a kid. Yeah. Pretty fun.
They have that place.
Do you remember?
Yeah, now it's shut down, by the way. The racetrack, the go-karting track here has been shut for like the last, I don't know, 5-6 years. They're constructing something else, sadly.
Yeah.
How sad. They made another building.
Yeah, man, there's another Hiranandani building. That's exactly it. Like how many Hiranandani complexes do you want?
and parking for go-karts available because of the old culture that was in place. Yeah.
Exactly.
Wow, Jan, just before we go to AMAs and all that, a couple of questions, again, stupid questions, but like, do you get scared? I mean, I remember once driving for the first time a Honda VTEC back in the day, but it was a fast machine, it appeared to be, and I'd reached about 180, 190 km on the Pune highway. And I know for a second it was fabulous, but it's both scary and fabulous, that adrenaline rush. So I'm just thinking you're going at much faster pace and for a longer period of time. Is there don't you ever get like worried?
I don't get worried that I'll hurt myself or anything, but I think when it rains in these cars with the speed and the way the winds and stuff work, if you're not in the top 3 or 4, you literally cannot see anything when you're driving. It's just like a wall of spray in front of you. So that's when it gets like a little bit worrying. If someone's car stops or parks on the side, you just won't see him. So you just go
Oh
and
shoot!
crash into him from behind. So those are the only times you're like a bit worried. But apart from that, I don't really worry at all when I'm driving.
But you still get the adrenaline rush when you go faster and faster. What's the fastest time you think you've clocked for a few seconds?
I mean, the cars go up till these Formula 2 cars can reach like 335 kilometers an hour.
Oh my God!
But
Oh man.
Whoa.
but the more impressive thing is like the amount of downforce they have. So we can take like corners which are like at acute angles, almost at full throttle sometimes. So it's just the fun part about it is more like the cornering than the actual speed that they go down on the streets.
But the car will almost turn. It'll turn like that, right? When you take a fast turn at a corner, it'll go round and round when it
That's if you
turns.
spin. That's if you spin. So the goal is obviously not to spin, but that happens.
Have
I
you
think obviously when
have you seen any crazy accidents happen, man? Like on the
Oh.
track or something?
that happened to me as well. I had quite a few.
What do you remember what happened?
Yeah, I flipped over a barrier and landed on top of it.
Oh
But these cars
At
are
man.
pace,
pretty safe
obviously.
nowadays. Yeah, high speed. Yeah,
Yeah, but you've had like the Ayrton Sennas and you've got, it's not, it is the most dangerous sport in the world or the second most. I remember reading about it. I think bullfighting is the most and it's second. It's ridiculous in terms of actually the other sports that we play, even with the season ball or rugby, contact sport and all that, is not as dangerous as car racing.
I
Not to
think
scare anybody
yeah.
watching. Huh?
Nowadays, car racing, thanks to the FIA and the safety, it's become relatively very safe. There's obviously a big element of risk in racing. We see that now and again, with people. But I think
Yeah.
definitely like MotoGP and those two-wheeler racing is quite a bit more dangerous at the current stage than Formula One and Formula Two and stuff.
What do the ladies think? Are you a chick magnet? Because normally Silvery, that's the whole deal about car racers, man.
Yeah, of course. Yeah,
They're supposed to be like these, the women love them and the James Bond like character, fancy Aston Martin, Ferrari, there's that. So now he's not answering the question. So this will take some time. Give me 5 minutes. Bol Jehan Dikra, go challenge.
I have a
Agal
girlfriend.
Pachal barabar che na.
All fine.
He's like he has a girlfriend.
Oh, I keep forgetting we're not at a bar just chatting with a guy. Damn it. The boy remembered in time. Sponsor nu naam, Red Bull. Vairi nu naam. What's your girlfriend's name?
Maya.
Maya, that's my daughter's name. You bastard! I'm coming there right now. Just kidding, Jehan. Listen, so yeah, I think we're making a lot of fun of racing and all, but I do think it's a very courageous sport in a sense, almost like you have a certain madness to really do it and to do it as a profession and to be doing all that all year round, literally. How has the pandemic affected you in terms of races are still going on, training is less, you can't meet those people, you can't travel?
Yeah, so I think when I'm in UK, the main thing is we have to stay in like these bio bubbles the whole time. We can't meet the people apart from my teammates and the team at the factory, the Red Bull guys and stuff. So it is not easy because the whole of 2020 and 21, we pretty much for 8 months last year didn't come home and I was pretty much in a bubble, just meeting few people that I knew. So my family couldn't come to watch my race as well. But we were lucky in a way that we were still allowed to go to the races and do what we love, and our sport went ahead for both the seasons, even through the global pandemic. So in a way, it was really cool for us, and also cool that people could sit at home and watch us race. And in a time like COVID, which was bad for everyone, they had entertainment for a few hours.
But when you drive yourself isolating, I mean, you're stuck in that thing. This is there, that is there. You're completely shut. So you're doing all the right things as per requisite of any government in the world. Stupid question number 16. When you come back home, do you like driving I mean, you're driving the streets of Mumbai, rather, wherever you are. Do you like driving a car for recreation, or is that like an irritating thing now? Because you have an intense driving culture. How do it's like any how do you go back to a sport and play it without any feeling? So you're driving a car with nothing, no competition, nothing. Do you still feel like doing it, or it's like a bore?
No, it's like I have like two different modes completely. I just switch to like say normal driving when I'm back home. I don't like driving too much just because of the amount of traffic. So if I do drive, I like to drive like after 11 p.m. or
He's spoiled.
so I can.
In organized tracks abroad, manicured tracks, 20 people
Yeah.
looking after him. Then you come here and I'm chooth in front, bam, 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 bam. It's a completely different experience. Did your friends ever try to outrace you? I can imagine. Especially when you were, just starting
They
out.
yeah, when I was a bit younger, they tried. I don't fall for those tricks. Mom and dad have taught me well. Leave your racing for the tracks. If anyone wants to race you, tell them to come to the track and race. Otherwise, I've pretty
Fair
much done
enough.
that all the time.
It's like Muhammad Ali. He said, I don't beat people up on the road. You want to fight me? Come to the ring. Yeah. Nothing for free.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Okay. So great, Jehan. Great watching your career. Like I said, I have been following it. I'm not the only one. And only 22, so much to do. I predict great things and I hope to hear great things from you. But the show's not over.
Sure.
Now we have the AMA where basically people
Yep.
from the government call in and ask questions like, what your political persuasions are. Do you eat cow when you're abroad? That kind of thing. When is the
Yeah.
last time you
Okay.
played with yourself? That whatever they want, we're open. We're open.
Yeah. So the first AMA question comes in from government employee Janil Bain. He asks, which was the craziest race of your career, Jehan?
The craziest race in my career.
What does craziest mean? Is it the one where he feared
Yeah.
the most, or whether something out of the blue happened where he won from
Like
left field?
his most favorite race, maybe the one he remembers most fondly, maybe.
I think my favorite race would go back to 2019 in FIA Formula 3. Actually, to be honest, it would be last year. FIA Formula 2 in Bahrain, where I won for the first time. I think that would be my craziest race. I had a lot of battles for the lead with my current teammate. We pretty much had a flat-out battle for 30 odd laps, and after winning that race, and then to hear the national anthem on the podium on such a global stage, made me feel super proud and happy. And after such a crazy race, it was a feeling of relief, and everything really sunk in when I was on the podium and hearing the national anthem.
This is the Indian national anthem or the British national anthem?
Indian. I drive on an Indian license.
We're on the line, huh? Dikra, you're on the line now. You'll be very careful. No, we're just kidding, obviously. And let me not take away from your beautiful moment. Was there any race where you've, where you probably thought you'd be losing and then suddenly things just go your way? I mean, is that even possible? Because it's difficult to come back, I know, in racing. Has it ever happened where from behind you've leapt to the front?
Yeah, it does happen. It was actually last year in Budapest. I was racing. I had a super bad start in the race, and I basically fell to last before turn one, so I was 22nd, and I decided to do like an alternate strategy. So I pitted really late for my soft tires, and then a safety car came out. So like it bunched the whole field up, and then I had brand new tires, and I was at the back of the field, and I overtook most of them, and I finished fourth at the end of the race. So obviously I overtook like 16, 17 cars. So even though I didn't win, I finished fourth. It felt like super amazing and fun to be able to overtake these many people on a track like that.
Sirvi, that's his message to Rahul Gandhi. Never give up. You may be 22nd today, but you can be fourth tomorrow. and all you have to do is change your tires. This is a very important lesson. I hope Rahul is listening. Jehan, let's see what AMAs
All
are
right.
on. Yeah.
Next one comes in from Girish Gaikwad. He says, "Hello, Jehan. What is the most challenging track you have ever raced on?"
Ah,
Uh, Most challenging track would be Macau. I raced there in FIA Formula 3. We literally drive through like the streets of Macau. So there's just walls and corners. And to drive through narrow walls like super fast, be like inches away from or less than inches away from every wall at in every corner for almost 45 minutes. The amount of focus you require, it's truly amazing, and these street tracks are super difficult. So I think in
so
overall
Jehan,
Macau would be the hardest track I've been on.
but you won't get to train on the same track before.
No, you don't get to because it's a
You go
street, so
wild.
they close it in the night. Sorry.
You're going wild.
Yeah, you
You're going
have
on
to
to
go
that for the
wild.
first time in
So
the
for
race.
no, we have like practice, but you have like a 30 to 40 minute practice, then you go straight into qualifying and then the race. So with those tracks, normally the more experienced you are, if you've been there before, it tends to help a lot. All of the other tracks over the years you've been to in a previous series when you were younger. But obviously street tracks you cannot just arrive and test unless you're driving a taxi or a rental car or something.
I don't want to brag, but I've done Worli to Nagpada, terrible track, in 9 minutes on an early morning on Sunday. A Worli sea face, from the sea face to Nagpada proper in 9 minutes. Hey, Silvi, what about that,
That
bro?
I'm
is that is quite fast. Yeah.
No helmet, no inflammable, non-flammable clothing, and no 20 people to help me. In fact, I even had to stop to fill diesel. Okay, I didn't. I didn't stop. I mean, you can't stop to fill diesel. Not in India. I think that's 40 minutes alone. God, really. Sorry.
All
Next
right.
question.
Yeah. Next one comes in from Mohit Shah. He says, "Excuse me." He says, "How have your interactions been with Formula One drivers?"
I've been teammates with Lando Norris, who's currently McLaren Formula One driver. We're still really good friends. Then Yuki Tsunoda, who's also AlphaTauri Formula One driver. I was his teammate in the past, so I get along with those two guys really, really well. I've also met Sebastian Vettel, Carlos Sainz, Nico Hülkenberg, Max Verstappen. So in a way, obviously, Formula One drivers are people that I look up to. A lot of people look up to. But when you chat to them, meet them, at the end of the day, they are like quite very normal human beings. Who are also living the dream, having fun on track. But when they are off track, they are just normal people who just want to help other people and have fun in their lives.
Do your parents ever get embarrassed at cocktail parties when they're discussing their kids and the other parents say, my son lawyer, my son engineer, my son business developer, and they say my son driver? Is it? I mean, that could be a come down. I
I
was
think
thinking.
that I think they are more proud than embarrassed. To be honest, I think if they say racing driver, they're not
Dude,
going to be embarrassed.
come on, Jehan, don't answer my stupid question. Of course they're proud. Don't be ridiculous. Oh, how sweet. He's actually standing up for himself. Bro, you're one in a million. You're not an ordinary guy. Okay, so let's get back to the Formula One thing that you're talking about. Did you get to see this when Sebastian Vettel won the one that we did here in Gurgaon? No, Noida rather. Were you there or were you too young? I think
Tell you.
2013 maybe.
No, I was there. I was watching. Yeah, I was too young to be obviously racing at that time. I was doing go-karting, but I had gone to watch those races in India.
And is it true that Vettel said thank you, sir, to Mayawati because he didn't know? I mean,
To who?
apparently because he does, the way we dress and stuff, he just didn't know. So, okay, we'll
I
leave
have
it there.
no
Let's not,
idea.
let's
I
not
don't.
elongate that
I
issue.
haven't heard.
I don't want to drag him into our controversies for nothing. And she may well
All
become
right.
the next chief minister once again. Um, yeah, so we have time. We can get a couple more in.
Yeah, there are quite a few.
Yeah,
Next
yeah.
one comes in from Prashant Mishra. He says, "Hi Jehan, which driver would you want as your getaway driver should you ever decide to rob a bank?" That's a great question.
Yeah, good question.
Uh, I think I would go with Lando Norris because obviously he's Formula One driver, super fast, and he's also my friend. So I think our coordination would be pretty good. So we'll be able to get out.
Nice.
And you'll get to say the immortal words of all getaway drivers that have to hear the immortal words of driver, gaadi chalao. That's I mean, that's the only time you'll
Yeah.
be able to talk to him
He's
like that.
English. He's
He's
English, so
English.
he's not gonna understand.
So
Yeah,
shit. So
he's
I
English.
guess you guys are getting caught. He's not just like, yeah, I'm just sitting here. Yeah, I didn't hear the order, man. What's happening?
He doesn't even put it in.
Yeah.
By the way, the cars are geared cars, right?
Yeah, but with the paddle shifts.
What is the paddle shift?
So the clutch is only for the
On the
the
side
clutch
of
is only
the.
for the start. Yeah, even the clutch is on the fingers for us. And then the shifting is on the wheel, so behind the wheel. But you don't require the clutch to shift once you drive. It's only up and down on the sides.
So when you're at 340 kilometers per hour, when you brake, you just come to that's all you do. You just hit the brake. That's it. You don't go into a
You hit
down
the
gear mode.
brake, you have to keep downshift. So it's on the left behind the steering wheel on the left is downshift and
Yeah.
on the right is upshift. So so when we
So when you,
upshift, there's a beep in your ear when you have to upshift. So every time the revs are like reach a certain rev, it beeps in your ear, so you need to shift up. And obviously down is according to how you feel, how slow you want to take the corner, or
what I love
how
about
gear you
this,
want
Jan,
to
is
get down.
you're explaining it to me and him like we're actually that's enough. What
No,
you've said is
this
enough.
I
We can
understand.
now sit
This
inside the car and I'll be able to go 340 and then I'll be downshift the gear on my own in 1 second, listening to
But
no,
some
no.
beep on my
yeah,
ear.
This I understand. Yeah.
a lot of road cars also have these gears
Yeah.
on the
My
back for
Honda
the
Civic
wheel.
has it exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah. So yeah,
Yeah.
so that's what I have,
It
but
has a
without
beep. It has a sound system.
H box.
No. It has the paddle shift. Paddle shift gear.
But he's also McLaren Honda. It's the same company. Both of you are you're promising drivers. You in
Yeah,
Powai,
Red
Yeah.
Bull
him in
Honda.
Of
England. But
course. Yeah.
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 All right, next one.
Next one comes in from Sridhar Bhupati. He says, "Hi, Cyrus and team. Hello, Jehan. Would like to know his prediction for 2021 F1 season and the comparisons between Lewis and Schumacher."
This is all tough here, even in any sport.
That's true.
Yeah, I think it's firstly for 2021 season, it's going to be a good battle between Verstappen and Hamilton. I don't really know who's going to come out on top. Both of them are obviously super good, but yeah, I think obviously being a Red Bull Junior, etc., I think my favor would tend towards Verstappen. And it's very hard to compare, people from two different generations, both Lewis and Michael. They both achieved many, many world titles. So it's very hard to pinpoint, who's a better driver or anything. All you can say is, they were the greatest drivers of their generations, and they just deserve as much respect as they can get, pretty much.
Wait, let me just tell Prakash. Prakash, soon he's my driver. He thinks he's the best. I have got to tell this guy, man, where he stands. You know Hamilton, beta. It's tough, but what about people? I don't know if you remember from my generation, people like Nelson Piquet, Alain Prost, that group of the
Yeah.
Senna and before that. You think if you put those champions into these cars today with the kind of backup and machinery that you have today, engineering that you have today, you still think the champion is a champion, even though the sports technology and nutrition
Yeah.
and everything it gets better.
Yeah, exactly. Like I said earlier, you can only drive the car to its limit, and those limits have just gone more and more and more since. I think from 20 years ago to now, the cars are like over 20 seconds faster. I think a Formula 2 car was pretty much as fast as a Formula 1 car was back in the day. So all you can do is drive the car you're given to its limit. So it's super hard to compare physically who is actually better than each other. Everyone who's at the top of their level is really, really good. Even in Formula 4 up till Formula 1, the kid who's winning a Formula 4 championship, if a Formula 1 driver just jumps into a Formula 4 car, he's just not going to beat the kid that easily. Who was at the top level performing at the top in those categories are really good drivers.
Hey, Gian, you ever thought of a career change and going on roadies where you'll really stand out? Because they moved into cars also on roadies. What do you think?
I don't I don't think I have that
So,
kind of
Cyrus always
don't
promoting
think
MTV
so.
shows.
Okay,
They go
come on,
to
we need somebody
Splitsvilla.
from Mumbai.
Jehan, you want to Splitsvilla?
Roadies is known from Mumbai anymore. No? Everybody's either from
What?
Chandigarh or Delhi or a few cities in the south, but no one's from Mumbai. We need some representation. What the hell? And he's got some time off. They have off seasons also, no, when they don't do much. So you can easily. I'll make some calls. We'll figure that out. Why do you want to put him in Splitsvilla? The man wouldn't even talk about his girlfriend.
No, I'm just going for every MTV show that exists.
I don't know if it exists. By the way, it may be done. We'll have to check.
I don't know. Maybe.
All right.
Okay.
Let's go to the next
one.
question.
Yeah, next one comes in from Ruben David. He says, "How different are F2 and F1 cars from each other? Do drivers of certain cars have an advantage, or is it standardized and down completely to the driver's skill?"
So the main difference between F2 and F1 is, firstly, in the F1 cars are a lot faster than F2 cars. But they have more horsepower. The cars are as light, so they're just genuinely quicker than F2 cars. The main thing is the differences in Formula One. They're manufacturers, so everyone designs their own engine, designs their own chassis, has everything. So the cars are a lot less equal. In Formula 2, we all have the same engine, the same chassis, everything is the same. So it's a one spec series where only the team itself can change the setup of the car, etc. So there's like 22 drivers, pretty much the same machinery. While in F1, there's only like every team which has two drivers have the actual same car. So that's the main difference between the two categories.
So what is the peak? Is there a peak age for driving? Like, let's say in tennis it would be 25, 30. In most sports it would be about 25 to 30, 35 max. What would be the peak age where you mature and perhaps are at your best?
Yeah, I think from 22 up till probably late 30s, I think you can probably
How much is Lewis
I think
Hamilton?
Lewis
Today,
is
how
showing
old?
it now. I think he's closing to like 36, 37. I think so. I'm not quite sure. But
So it's
he's
safe to
signed for
say,
another 2 years now.
but he's still at the top of his
I
game.
think
So it's safe to
Raikkonen
say
is
that, how old is he? 40.
Raikkonen is 41 and he's still
There you
he's
go.
still in F1. I think. So
So by your
I
thing,
think if
at
you're
22, we're looking at you really peaking more like in your mid 30s. So you've got about 12, 15 years almost of getting better.
yeah, but in racing, it's like the window of opportunity to get to Formula One. Normally, after 24 or 25, you lose the opportunity to go there. So, if you reach Formula One and you stay there for 10, 12 years, then yes, you will be there till 35, 36. But you don't enter Formula One at when you're 30 or 32 years old. In this day and age, it just doesn't happen.
Okay, so you're like basically a Bombay Gymkhana committee where you basically have to get there and then not get out, whatever happens. Just stay there for as long as you can. I get it, totally get it. Sylvie, we're learning a lot of life lessons from a 22-year-old. Pay attention.
Yeah.
Let's get some more serious racing questions in.
Sure. Next one is comes from Abhijit. He says, "Hi Jehan, do you have a favorite F1 rivalry? Mine is the Rosberg versus Hamilton that dominated the 2014 season."
Or that he likes or with
I
himself?
don't have a full favorite. I think this year's rivalry of Hamilton and Verstappen is probably turning into like my favorite rivalry that I've seen so far. Both of them in different car peaks. Probably, let's say, arguably the greatest drivers ever to be in Formula One. Both driving. So I would say this has been my favorite rivalry so far.
A lot of people are also asking about.
Sorry, go on.
Sorry. Yeah, a lot of people are also asking about what you thought about the Hamilton's collision with Verstappen, the recent one.
Awkward pause. Jehan doesn't want to take sides.
I don't know. I think I don't know if I should say too much, to be honest. But
okay, let him off this one, bro. Bro, he's in the business. There's no need for him to take sides and all that. It's a private thing. But yeah, very interesting. But you put Verstappen as high as Hamilton. You're saying best of the generation?
Yeah, I think Max is probably really, really good. So probably I would keep him on the same level.
Okay. Sylvie, next.
All right. Next one. Okay, this is just a fun question. He says, Sarang Shekokar asks, what do you think is more challenging, driving a Formula car or driving in peak traffic in Mumbai?
It's quite the antithesis of what you do, because you're not going for speed
Yeah,
and that all that. You're going for just
Yeah.
survival.
I think it's hard to come home without scratching the car at all. So I think driving in Bombay is probably as hard. I'm kidding. Obviously, driving a race car, I think on the limit, they're super, super difficult. And yeah, I think people almost underestimate how difficult it is and how much years of practice and stuff that we go through to achieve those things.
Also, there's a almost like a recklessness. I've even read this article about for racing drivers or people who do these crazy sports. You have to have that reckless gene. Everyone just can't do it. They will not cross to that pace. They just won't. Their body and mind will not allow them to hit the pedal like his does, and it's just the way it is. So, Sylvie, we have lots of people out there. I mean, you can see that in the gym or in a contact sport or anywhere else. People just don't go beyond. So those who can go beyond, it's a minority of those people who can do that. Firstly, then amongst those who are talented, then amongst those who have scientific training and good karma, luck, etc., etc. And then you have Jehan going to Formula One and hopefully becoming a world champion one day. But a lot of people don't understand how tough it is just mentally, firstly, to do this. They just think, oh, it's so easy. I press the pedal 340. I'll tell you
Yeah.
honestly that
Man,
80% will not be able to do it.
I can't even imagine going at 300 kilometers an hour. That sounds, oh
Bro,
my
at
God. I don't think my brain would
180,
be able to
at
handle it.
180 kilometers, I was getting
Yeah.
so friggin' tense. I'm saying, bro, in my head, slow down, slow down.
Yeah.
Because
Exactly.
the control is going in the car. You can feel it. You can feel that that the car is not there anymore. You're testing it. These guys are doing that morning, day and night. I mean, and they're only getting faster. It's like, I mean, there's no other
I,
way. So imagine his frustration of coming home to drive in Mumbai. I mean, it's like
yeah.
it's like a punishment. What's the point of that? When you've just done 350 and taken these bends, these turns, like he mentioned. I mean, we only see them. I can just imagine what kind of blood rush it must be. It's very difficult to have a normal life, Jehan, right? Because your level of excitement is so much higher than an ordinary person's.
Uh, True, but I think I have really close friends in Bombay, so I guess you know how it is with the Baba community. We're all super close and stuff. So it's hard to have a full-on normal life, obviously, because I'm constantly focused about racing, focused about how I can get better, and I don't really have too much time off. But when I am in Bombay, I try to be as normal as I can be and enjoy my time as much as I can. Obviously, I come home, I need to stay fit and stay light, which is the most important, and it's difficult with my cooking all this Parsi food for me all the time. So I need to be able to control that side of things. But apart
Siri,
from
in the
that,
Parsi community, there is no diet food. There's not one, not even kachumbar, which you can have and say, okay, man, this is going to keep me lean. There's not one dish. It just doesn't exist. Uh, so are you going to marry a Parsi girl, Jan, at the end of all this? Or how's that going to play out?
I
Ah,
don't know. I
time for
I
Naomi
can't.
Osaka. No more questions. Don't answer that. Don't answer that. Both ways you lose, both with the liberals and with the hardcore. Sylvie, can we get one or two more?
Sure, let's do one more.
Yeah.
This last one comes in from Nishant Jayaram. He says, hey, Jahan, do you have any aspirations of trying your hand at sports car racing or just stick to single seater racing?
Obviously, my current goal is to reach Formula One and get there and obviously make a career out of it. But so yeah, that is my aim. But in the future, you never know what happens. Anything could happen. Seats might not open up, etc. So hopefully, I do think that I'm good enough to earn a living and do this what I love. So whatever opportunities do come up in the future, if not Formula One, I will be open to it. And at the end of the day, I have to also look after myself and my future.
If they pay him $10 million and this some sort of car league or like stock car racing or whatever they have in America, I'm sure he'll do it, right? I mean, it's an offshoot of the same thing. And we're driving really fast and you're trying to, that's it. It's the same concept, isn't it?
Yeah. I think at any juncture, any car, it's like you get the same thrill out of any car as long as you can, push it to the limit, drive as fast as you can, and compete against the best in the world in those categories. So I
And
think, like I
the
said,
question
if
we
not
should
Formula One, I'll be open to it.
No, we should have asked him, will you take up camel racing? Because that's a little different. Like he has to get out of the vehicle and do something else, like camel racing, or
I wouldn't take it
Silvery,
up.
what about human rickshaw racing, where the guy takes you on his back and you've got to like rush across? It's very big in Ukraine. They have these
I've never
competitions where
heard of that.
one person is, yeah, it's like water polo but on land. So you've been carried on somebody's back and you're slapping his head and making him go as fast as he can. That'll be a fun race, bro. Silvery, have you tried that? Back in the Punjab, growing up,
No, I haven't.
you grew up in Panskani, bro. You have no idea.
Yeah.
Okay, chalo, last
Yep.
one. Yeah.
I think we're done. I think
That's it?
also
We're
Jehan
done?
has to leave. Yeah.
Oh, sorry.
Jehan
Okay.
doesn't- I don't know.
Yeah, bro, he's a man in a hurry. That's his whole game, bro. If he doesn't have to leave, it's all wrong. Okay, Jehan, listen, great talking to you. All the very best. We are all
Thank you,
so
guys.
proud of you. You have no idea. And I'm going to see you in Silvery. We're going to see him in Formula One ASAP soon.
Yes, absolutely.
And when you become bigger and
All the
bigger
best,
star, please come back and chat with us. All right?
I will for sure. Thank you, guys.
Okay. All right. Cheers.
Thanks so
Bye
much.
bye.
Cheers. Thank you.
Bye.